So I finished my modifications on the Jinming JM12 AK74U from gellblastergun.com. You can see it is quite the transformation. So I've seen this listed before as like an HK47, but basically we did a lot of converting to it. Now, first off, one thing I want to point out that I forgot to mention in the previous videos before I modified it was you do get a semi-automatic with this. So you do have the switch here to be able to go to safety, automatic, and semi-automatic. I was just switching too hard and I was missing that click. So just wanted to make sure to point that out so you guys know that you do have a full automatic, semi-automatic, and safety with this blaster. So I want to make sure that you guys know that. And of course, you've got the blowback feature, which I know is important to a lot of you, right? So there you go. That blowback feature still functions with the mod here. So we did a lot of things. I mentioned in the previous videos, I was excited because a 3D modeler who's made some really good gel blaster kits that fit specific for gel blasters had this kit. And most of the time I have to take airsoft things. I have to do a lot of modifications on the computer and then manually to make things work. So I thought, oh, that'll be great. This will be so easy. Well, not necessarily the case. The pieces that he made and designed definitely fit to the actual blaster perfectly, but then the pieces that you're then putting on there, like this piece, the barrel nut, that barrel nut, even after I printed it a second time, it was still, the threads on this receiver piece were too big. So that had to be messed with several times. And then the buffer tube, unfortunately, is much larger than any other buffer tube. And after considerable sanding, this was the only stock that I could get to have it fit on. So it's still great work. And hey, I love that he was able to do these because that's definitely, I can't do the modeling from scratch like that. But it just didn't turn out to be as easy as I was hoping. So with this modification too, you could do this and go ahead and do it without putting any holes in your original blaster. Now, because I added this little rail piece here, I did put one hole down through the dust cover, and then I put a rail back here. So there's a couple holes there. But you wouldn't need to do that. And, you know, even if you did, you could always, of course, leave those rails up there. I don't know why you'd want to take them off and return this back to, you know, stock. So you're not really hurting the blaster at all with this. And of course, the buffer tube goes on just as it's intended as well. So that's pretty cool. So we got a front end here from an HK416, right? So that looks pretty nice. That was actually from a blaster that I had. I'm not sure, I can't remember which model, but I had that one disassembled and I thought that would look good on here. So I went with that, and it already had the outer barrel that the metal inner barrel goes through. So of course I reused that, and it has a stabilizer bar in there as well. And I painted that gold since we could see through there and you can see some of the gold, and then you can see the gold right here. Otherwise I just stick with the black. I figured since we can see in there, you can see in through the slots, let's go ahead and put some color on that outer barrel. That'll look nice. This is kind of my version of, there's some AK47, AK74 style suppressors out there that kind of look like that. So I did kind of tie that back in. Obviously we got a grip here. We've got some canted risers for your sights off to the side. Put a nice charge handle on there that's a little different, a little beefier, looks nicer in my opinion. And then we've got a nice optic up here. So if we flip it around, not much different on this side other than we can see the canted rails a little better. All right, so you can see there, it's that Heart-Gon optic. Those are on Amazon. They're pretty reasonably priced. Other thing I did was this mag release. It's just kind of a cool mag release. Oh, I need to screw that one on still. So that's one thing I have not secured. There's a little screw that needs to go in there. But I liked how that looked and how that fit right there like that. And it just kind of gives you an ambidextrous mag release. And it just, I don't know, anytime I can find new little things like that to print and share, I typically try to incorporate them because they print pretty fast. They're pretty easy to show. Obviously, we relocated the battery back here instead of up front, which I like that a lot better. So we got the battery back there. If you recall, I went ahead and I changed the barrel, so I went to a longer metal barrel. So the metal barrel does come out just past the threads, which is just like I wanted. I'm not exactly sure of the exact size. It was from another blaster that I had taken apart at some point, so it wasn't like a standard size, but that was the perfect length, so I was happy to find that. And of course, I was able to reuse that T-piece when I did that, and that's critical because this has a very unique T-piece. And if you mess that up, then you can probably order one, but I definitely didn't have any extra ones around. Then we went to an M95 spring in there. So I was shooting it before everything were put together and definitely saw some good performance increases. Now, I don't think that now that it's completed that there's going to be any sort of issues, but of course, you never know. It works fine. Obviously, I've dry fired it and stuff to show that, and you could see that we still get your blowback feature right here. That's not screwed on yet either, so I'll make sure I screw everything on nice and tight before I do the demo, obviously, since we've had a couple things fall off. Everything else definitely is screwed on. I was hoping some of those things didn't need to be screwed down, but this one does look like it does, and as does this piece. So there it is, the AK74U Jinming JM12 from jellblastergun.com. Make sure you check them out. They ship from the USA, and you can get this blaster in stock form for about $150. All right. Of course, if you got comments, questions, post them below. Of course, like, subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and participate in those monthly giveaways, and check back for the demo video.